So before Doug comes out, I'd like to tell you a little bit about him. His name is Doug Fergus. He likes puppy dogs, monster trucks, bubble baths, chopping firewood, long candlelit walks on the beach, and he'd like to thank Gosh. Now I'm here. Okay, now I'm here. Okay, so first song is called Brand New Ending. Oh, tonight's show is sponsored by saying yes instead of no, and doing instead of not doing, and just showing up. That's the theme of tonight. This song, Brand New Ending, came to me in a piece of junk mail. It had the phrase, you may not be able to go back and make a brand new start, but you can start today and make a brand new ending. And I thought, I love that. And I threw it in the recycle bin and I wrote a song about it. It was a scheme they wanted to sell you t-shirts at wholesale, which you would resell at flea markets and swap meets. And it would cure your financial ails. And I said, no, thank you, but I'll take your phrase and make a song out of it. Okay, here we go. Do you ever wish that you could live your life again? If you had another chance, would you live it differently? Well, friends, I'm here to tell you, simply read my book and then you'll discover inner peace, a confidence that comes from knowing. No, you can't go back, make a brand new start. You can start today, make a brand new ending. No, you can't go back, make a brand new start. You can start today, you can start today. You can start today and make a brand new ending. Did you steal Hot Wheels, baseball cards, and candy when you were a little kid? Smoke a cig and smash a window then? When you were older, did you wreck your parents' car? Break into a cable station, rob your neighbor on vacation? No, you can't go back, make a brand new start. You can start today, make a brand new ending. No, you can't go back, make a brand new start. You can start today, you can start today. You can start today and make a brand new ending. Okay, before we get to some hilarious comedy, I'm going to play another song. This is called Until She Makes Up Her Mind, and I wrote this based on the feeling that many children have, and some adults still have. And I talk like this when I'm on stage, but when I'm not on stage, I tend to talk like this. So, you're getting a special treat hearing me talk like this. So, a lot of people have the sense that they can't do what they really want to do until they get permission or get approval. And so this is for you, if you're one of those people. Right? No, don't raise your hand, then we'll all know. Okay. I'd like to get myself a haircut, maybe go back to school, or take out a loan for 25 grand and build a guitar-shaped pool. I want to sing in the shower, or honk my horn in a tunnel. Someday I will write my autobiography, but if that won't sell, I'll spice it up with lies and advise my family not to tell. May I go on a cruise now, or sleep in a flea bag or hotel? My plans are getting cold. May I execute them before I get too old? Well, not until she makes up her mind. Not until she makes makes up her mind. This is the hook, in case you did not know. I really would like to land a new job, like teaching the second grade. Earn a big chunk of self-respect instead of being well paid. I'll ride the school bus with them and play them songs I've written. My plans are getting cold. May I execute them before I get too old? Well, not until she makes up her mind. Not until she makes up her mind. Not until she, not until she, not until she makes up her mind. This is the part that we repeat, because it's a groovy hook. I'd like to buy a big diamond ring. Now close your eyes and guess. And give it to you and drop to one knee. Tell you all I confess. I want to have many children. I already mailed the invitations. My plans are getting cold. May I execute them before I get too old? Well, not until she makes up her mind. Not until she makes up her mind. Not until she, not until she, not until she makes up her mind. Last hook. All right, thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for coming in. For those that just came in, there's going to be a little music, a little comedy, hopefully. But you don't have to laugh. You just acknowledge deeply that, wow, that was quite something. Okay, so my cousin works at the Kleenex factory. She texted me last week and she said, I got a problem on the manufacturing line. Texted her back, what's going on? She says, tissue issue. I was deleting emails the other day and the subject line said, wild orgy invitation. And I thought, are there different kinds of orgies? And then I thought, well, maybe just the invitation's wild. I was registering on a website, username and password, trying to be clever so that, in the password, so it couldn't be hacked. And every time it said weak, you know how they'll grade your password? So I got a little more clever, and it kept saying weak, and I got a little more clever, and it said weak but acceptable. And I said, okay, buddy. I typed in weak but acceptable, and it said strong. That's a true story. Some of these are made up. I have a friend in Salt Lake City, I think it's that way. He's in a motorcycle gang. He's a Mormon. They're called Hex Angels. And last July, we were in New York City, and I attended a seminar by the famous boxer astrophysicist, Mike deGrasse Tyson. And I do have a friend who's a criminal, and I'm embarrassed about it, but he's not very smart. He brought an umbrella to his arraignment. Oh, and by the way, I didn't rent these. I wrote these. Okay, so today's show, for those that came in late, is sponsored by saying yes instead of no, doing instead of not doing, taking steps, and just showing up. So here's the Cyndi Lauper story. In 2012, I had my band in Ashland, Oregon, called Naked in Public, and there's a big music festival every summer called the Brit Festival, and I submitted our demo tape. What decade is this, Doug? Okay, so our demo and a video. Like 4 months later, we get a call, you're in, and you're going to open for Cyndi Lauper. So like, how could that happen? I'm just a nobody, right? I'm just Doug in Ashland, Oregon, who fixes furnaces. And now suddenly I'm on stage. Well, it's just, I took a step, took another step, I submitted instead of not submitting. Anyway, we didn't get to meet her. We played on a little side stage, but now I can forever on my resume, open for Cyndi Lauper. Okay, oh, and this is this is one of the songs we played, which is off my Naked in Public No Filter album, available everywhere records are sold. Remember that from the 70s? I'm going crazy here. Okay, so I wrote this after I read a magazine article about Sheryl Crow. Okay, let's see, I want that. Oh, wasn't that groovy? See, listen. I like how it clicks with these boots. Okay. Hello there. I love everything about you. I read you are attracted to complex men. I am in touch with my greatness. You'll see. Hey, Cheryl, we would make a great team. Hey, Cheryl, like Allie and Steve McQueen. Did you get my email proposal? I attached a pic of me from last year. I'm thinner now. I am in touch with my greatness. You'll see. Hey, Cheryl, we would make a great team. Hey, Cheryl, like Allie and Steve McQueen. Thought-provoking bridge. I love Sting's bridges. He writes great bridges. I love Paul McCartney's bridges. They call them the middle eight in England. Do I think mine are as good as theirs? Yes. Now look what I do here. I went OMG. LOL. TLC. LTR. Please call before 8. It's okay. Mom knows I am in touch with my greatness. You'll see. And this thing for the last one. Hey, Cheryl, we would make a great team. Hey, Cheryl, like Allie and Steve McQueen. Hey, Cheryl, would make a great team. Hey, Cheryl, like McGraw and Steve McQueen. All right. Today's show also sponsored by Throat Coat Tea. Okay. I owned a heating and air conditioning business. I owned a heating and air conditioning business in Ashland, Oregon. I think that's that way. And one of my employees got into terrible financial trouble. And actually, that part of it's true. Some of this won't be true. So I had to have his wages garnished. So of course every payday I handed him his check with a little parsley and orange slices on it. Now I had another employee got in bad financial trouble and got a letter from the lawyer that I had to set it out in the weather all day because hers had to be tarnished. I had a third employee that I had to paint a weatherproof sealer on it because her check had to be varnished. Okay, did you hear the 80s pop singer, speaking of Cyndi Lauper, over there in Oregon still, did you know that before she became famous, she worked in a silverware factory? And she inspected forks all day long, like Lucy, you know, with the candies of the Lucy show, all day long, forks going, that one. She wrote one of her biggest hits about it. Time after time, do, time after time. My friend Irving the Mouse had a minimum wage job for the longest time. He eked out a living. Okay, here's a fun one. This is a true story. Okay, I have a friend named Pete Brown in Medford, Oregon, who was a professional guitarist for about 20 years. His dad was in Dean Martin's band. That's how well connected he was. So he didn't know how to do anything but play guitar. And he started playing professionally when he was in high school. And by the time he was in his 20s, he was a hired gun that went out on tour to support these household name artists all over North America and even the world. He was in Minnie Riperton's band. He was in Diana Ross's band. He played with Jermaine Jackson. And he was friends with Carole King. That's how connected he was. But he was only making a middle income living because he was just he'd go out on the road and that's it. He didn't have royalties from song publishing. And his relationship with his ex-wife changed such that he needed to be home much more often to co-parent his kids. He said he was gone about 300 days out of every year when he was touring. And so he needed to learn a new skill. He needed to get a day job. Isn't that weird? You know, we all dream of, if I could only do this thing and quit my day job. Well, he wanted a day job. He had to quit his night job. And he actually ended up doing heating and air conditioning, and that I met him when we worked at the same company, and it was bizarre. He was friends with Stanley Clarke. He would be talking to Stanley Clarke, if you all know, one of the world's most famous bass players, while we're at work. And why are you here? And he said, you don't necessarily make a killing as a hired hand touring. You know, you get maybe a $50,000 a year income. So that's the playful song I wrote called Don't Quit Your Night Job. And it's really nothing about Pete's situation, but it's fun. I'm going to look at that. Okay, here we go. Don't quit your night job. Rolling down the highway onto another town. Get up on the stage, act like a freaking clown. Living in the van, where am I supposed to take a crap? Hurry up, when can I take a nap? Don't quit your night job, oh. Don't quit your night, na. Don't quit your night job, oh. Don't quit your night, na. Don't quit your night job, oh. don't quit tonight. What else can I do in order to stay in one place? Supermarket checker, dig a ditch, wash a plate? My drummer says to me, are you out of your mind? The only thing we know is doing this nightclub grind. Don't quit your night job, oh-wee-oh-oh. Don't quit your night. Na-na-na-na-na-na. Don't quit your night job, oh-wee-oh-oh. Don't quit your night. Na-na-na-na-na-na. Don't quit your night job, oh-wee-oh-oh. Don't quit your night. Bridge. Is that as good as Sting or Paul McCartney's Bridge, you think? Hey there, little dreamer, floating out there in space. Stick to what you know, plucking your four-string bass. What you gonna do now, learn a new trade by mail? So, this is Pete Brown talking, so I needed to learn something, right? I couldn't just go get a job and support a family. So everyone said, don't do heating and air, don't do construction, stay out, don't be crawling under houses and, filthy, ew. Get a computer job, learn computers. So I went to the computer section of the internet, or the internet section of my computer, and I looked up these schools. Learn to create your own iPhone apps with the complete iOS 9 developer course. Learn advanced website development skills with the complete developer course. Become an advanced strategist with the world's most powerful advertising platform by taking the complete Google AdWords course. Learn to code by making cutting-edge 3D games with the Unreal Engine developer. Get an entrepreneurial business education so you can start your own company with an entire MBA in one course. Learn to learn. Don't quit your night job, oh-wee-oh-oh. Don't quit your night. Na-na-na-na-na-na. Don't quit your night job, oh-wee-oh-oh. Don't quit your night. Na-na-na-na-na-na. Don't quit your night job, oh-wee-oh-oh. Don't quit your night. I like the stomping. Okay, so I was driving along Interstate 50 through Nevada, and kept seeing these signs every several miles that said report shooting from highway. So finally I stopped, and I rolled down my passenger window, and I got my rifle out of my back seat, and I started shooting all the rocks and tin cans, and I called the number. I had great cell reception. And I called the number and says, hey, I'm just letting you know I'm shooting from the highway. A former girlfriend, long ago, when I was a completely different person, she said, I'm aloof. Whatever. I thought that was kind of cool. So, pardon me for not memorizing, but I'm memorizing some of it. So I said, loofs are cool, right? Power to the loofs, loofs.com. Tall single loofs that love to laugh.com. Short stocky loofs that love zebras and ziplining.com. Or is it loofs? I'm aloof, we are loofs. Well, anyway, I told her that I would go to the Loof Academy and I'll be a certified loof, whatever. So, I'm a bassist, vocalist, lyricist, songwriter, comedian, writer, good cook, motorcycle mechanic, amateur 57-year-old weightlifter. I'm good at raking leaves and shoveling snow. But my passionate hobby is heating and air conditioning. Now, I'm going to a community college to learn heating and air, but if my if my plan A falls through, gosh, I hope it doesn't. I can always fall back on being a bassist, vocalist, lyricist, songwriter, comedian, writer, good cook, motorcycle mechanic, amateur, 57-year-old weightlifter, and I'm good at raking leaves and shoveling snow. Now, what would be a rock star dilemma? Should I get a pool-shaped guitar or a guitar-shaped pool? Does Weird Al have an accordion-shaped pool? Okay. Oh, and there's one I skipped. I'll say it. Oh, it's so cold in here you could hang tofu. Okay, gonna have a drink here. Throat coat. It stores everywhere. Well, not everywhere. Kmart probably doesn't have throat coat. No, they probably do. So here's a fun story. Okay, I was in a band 1982 to 1986 in Los Angeles called Split Image, and I was the manager and booking agent, and I got assigned to Allied Artist Records. You've never heard of us because we never went anywhere. But the guitarist wrote all the material. Oh, saying yes instead of no, doing instead of not doing, taking the baby steps. How did I, with no experience, become a booking agent, a manager, and get assigned to a record label? It was stupidity, it was naivete, and it was just like doing instead of not doing. So you can do it too, but you might be too old now. No, me too. So the guitarist had a song that I loved the tune, but didn't like the words. Years later, when I was writing my own songs, I rewrote all the words, which you'll hear in 5 seconds. And but the more I listened to it, and over the years, I realized that it was a super common chord progression. And there's actually, I've totaled up, not 9, 6. Well, that's 9 upside down. No wonder I almost said 9. 6 number 1 songs that use the exact same chord progression. So at the end of my song called Sorry, Try Again, I'm going to play a little piece of each of those songs, and you'll be thrilled with delight. Okay. Sorry, Try Again. I gave up on the lottery. My lucky streak never began. Drank a million soda pops just to look inside the can. Ate 1,000 candy bars. All of them were specially marked. Unwrapped each one carefully. And I got 1,000 broken hearts. Sorry, try again. Sorry, try again. We want you to know we're sorry, but try again. And though I keep on trying, I keep on finding. I entered every sweepstakes. Yes, that one with Ed McMahon. Found all the stamps and stuck them on. Don't know why I kept on playing. Took myself to eat Chinese. I thought it might clear my head. And then they brought the fortune cookie. And this is what my fortune read. Sorry, try again. Sorry, try again. We want you to know we're sorry, but try again. And though I keep on trying, keep on finding. In the back of a magazine, I saw lovely foreign queens who are lonely. They want to meet me. So I wrote to the P.O. box, expecting to meet a fox. But instead, this is what they said. Sorry, try again. Sorry, try again. We want you to know we're sorry, but try again. And though I keep on trying, I keep on finding. Sorry, try again. I remember when rock was young. Me and Susie had so much fun, holding hands and skimming stones. Had an old gold Chevy and a place of my own. Every move you make, every breath you take, every claim you stake, every cake you bake, I'll be watching you. Whoa, whoa, yay, yay. I love you more than I can say. I'll love you twice as much tomorrow. I love you more than I can say. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Yes, won't you please stand by me? And we can build this world together. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. This was Jefferson's Starship. Na 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 na. It went to #1 now. Love hurts. Love mars. Love wounds and scars. I really learned a lot. I really learned a lot. Love is like a flame. Play those chords, baby. Love Stomping, stomping. Okay, this is a poem. Any poets in the house? Rosemary's not here. Blah, blah, blah. All the famous poets aren't here. I worked on this the longest time, hoping to impress Rosemary, and I hope that it is deeply personal. I hope that it resonates with all of you as it does with me. It's called White Pants. Okay, up. Up. Okay, it's very serious. White pants. Is that chocolate or poop? White pants. Is that paint or blood? White pants. Is that lemonade or pee? White pants. Is that grass or snot? White pants. Okay, who wants to be a wannabe? Oh, I had practiced this that someone would raise their hand and I would say, no, you don't. No one wants to be a wannabe. Okay, I was sitting in my truck in a supermarket parking lot, and I actually, some of the best lyric writing I've ever done has been sitting in my car or truck, and sometimes even driving, but to be safe, not driving. And there's that voice again that you only get when I'm on stage. And look, there's no stage. Okay, that was like as if I were a little higher. Okay, so I thought to myself, the radio was on, and all these famous bands and artists, and although I gave it a shot in my 20s, I didn't make it. So, yeah, I have just a rectangular pool. It's not guitar-shaped. And so I thought to myself, do you want to be a has-been or a wannabe? And I said, has-been! Hell yeah! Heck yes! For all the, sorry, kids. Who wants to be a wannabe? I want to be a has-been, at least my 15 minutes. So anyway, I sat there and I said, I don't want to be a wannabe anymore. Song title, song title. So here's the song. Okay. I'd like to be a has-been, a formerly a once was, telling my grandchildren about my glory days. But first I need to make it, do something to make me famous. In 20 years will you remember my name? I don't want to be a wannabe, I don't want to be a wannabe, I don't want to be a wannabe anymore. Now I saw a former soap star down at Barnes & Noble promoting his autobiography. a wannabe. I don't wanna be a wannabe. I don't wanna be a wannabe anymore. La la la, dooby dooby dooby, funny bridge. Wop a doo wop wop, dee dooby doo. Heady heady heidi ho, a dooby dooby doo. Now I saw a former rock star at the supermarket. They would not sell him Purina Rockstar Chow. Although I recognized him, I watched the checker deny him. I never did like his music. I should have been that star. I don't wanna be a wannabe. I don't wanna be a wannabe. I don't wanna be a wannabe anymore. I don't wanna be a wannabe. I don't wanna be a wannabe. I don't wanna be a wannabe anymore. Everyone, I don't wanna be a wannabe. I don't wanna be a wannabe. I don't wanna be a wannabe anymore. One more time. I don't wanna be a wannabe. I don't wanna be a wannabe. I don't wanna be a wannabe anymore. Woo! Yay to the wannabes! Okay, Cletus the fetus was driving down the same Highway 50 through Nevada at night. Vic got very drowsy. So he saw a town with a hotel and an off-ramp. Took it, parked his car up to the front desk, put his cute little elbow. Hey, you got a womb for the night? So Billy Bob came home from college to help out in the summer with the family auto wrecking business. And his dad says, you know, Billy Bob, nothing much changed around here. Parts is parts. Billy Bob says, no, Dad, parts are parts. Now, on January 2nd, one year, a man said to me, how was your new year? And I wondered, did he mean the entire year before or just yesterday? Then a different man, same day, on January 2nd, said, how was your New Year's? And I thought, which one? Don't you mean how were your New Year's? Now, every December I call all my friends in Panama and I wish them a wide isthmus. Now, coming up tonight on the 6 o'clock news, when good things happen to bad people. Here's a fun one. So, we all know whether you're an artist of any kind or a mechanic or a woodworker, doesn't matter. Sometimes you do something and you think, oh, I can't believe I just did that. How beautiful that is. Or that I figured it out. Or suddenly things just flow, right? So one night I was practicing my bass. Doing instead of not doing. Oh, pulling you back into the theme. Doing instead of not doing. and my hands did this, and I swear to you, I did not tell my hands to do this. Oh, wow! Got the tape recorder. I think it was a tape. No, it was a digital recorder. Record that, because I don't read and write music, so I wouldn't forget it. And then I thought, it started, everything, the energy was like, and so I got my lyric idea book out, and I just went down something that would hit me, and an idea that I wrote down like maybe years before I saw my mom on Match.com. And I can't believe I hadn't already made a song out of that, but it absolutely had to be with that riff. And like within 20 minutes, and I know we've all heard famous songwriters say, yeah, I wrote that in 15 minutes or 10 minutes. I wrote this song you're about to hear in 20 minutes. Okay. Oh, and it's in B. 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 Okay. There's no wasp on a guitar neck. There's only bee. Okay. I know times are hard for singles. Everyone wants to hook up. No one has the time to mingle. But everyone wants a full cup. I was up surfing, seeking my soulmate. Guess who I saw? I saw Mom on Match.com. I saw my mom on Match.com. Called my sister, had to tell someone. I saw Mom on Match.com. I know that she wants a partner. Still, I was kind of creeped out. This is too much information. Loves tattoos and making out. Ew. I was up surfing, seeking my soulmate. Guess who I saw? I saw Mom on Match.com. I saw my mom on Match.com. Called my sister, had to tell someone. I saw Mom on Match.com. Cool bridge, huh? Solo! I was up surfing, seeking my soulmate. Guess who I saw? I saw Mom on Match.com. I saw my mom on Match.com. Called my sister, had to tell someone. I saw Mom on Match.com. I said, I saw Mom on Match.com. I saw my mom on Match.com. Called my sister, had to tell someone. I saw Mom on Match.com. Oh, thank you very much. Another sponsor's tea here. For those who came in late, we're sponsored today by Throat Coat Tea. And so here's this meeting Sylvia story. Doing instead of not doing, saying yes instead of no. In 2009, I had my band Naked in Public in Ashland, Oregon. And our guitarist, Chris, was trying to build a recording studio in his basement, trying to teach himself. And he kind of gave up. He said, I want to learn from a pro. I don't want to stumble around in the dark anymore. Right in that same period of a few days, the drummer, Mark, and I were eating dinner at a restaurant in Ashland, Oregon. And a woman got up to leave. She came kind of over my shoulder, put her business card on the table, said, I heard you talking about music, and if you ever want to record, give me a call. And she walked out. I saw her walking through the parking lot. And I said to Mark, she just looks like someone's mom. Like, really? She has a recording studio? And it said Radio Star. And it was in Weed, California. Yes, Virginia, there is a Weed, California. And I thought, first of all, Radio Star is a stupid name. And she's in Weed, like, is it in her garage? You know? So I actually folded the card in half, signifying, I don't want this. But Mark had an intuition and he took it. So when we went to see Chris in a couple of days, Chris Googled her right then and there. Sylvia Massey, over 20 gold and platinum records, has engineered and produced for Johnny Cash, Tom Petty, Prince, System of a Down, Tool, Powerman 5000, dozens and dozens of European hard rock bands. She's the most celebrated female in the world in the music business, in the recording world. And I said, to her. So, oops. So Chris called her and got a job as an apprentice with her. And within a few weeks, he timidly gave her our demo we had made, a crude demo of 6 of my songs with the band. And at the time, they wanted to replace me with a great vocalist. They said to me, you're not good enough for your own songs. And I said, okay, let's try a great vocalist. I don't care. So in a week, Sylvia came back to Chris and said, I love the demo, love the songs. They're quirky and fun. It's not this typical hard rock that I get. Actually, she says, I get bored producing these hard rock bands. And she says, I will not record this band unless the guy singing is the singer, which was me. So she saw that my character was more important than being pretty, you know. So imagine I had no connections in the music world, and fast forward, we recorded an album with her, the Naked in Public album, available everywhere records are sold. And I want you guys to sign an email list later. But to the point where we did another album, which I'll tell you about in a minute, with her. And then last summer, she and I collaborated on a song and a video that's flying all over the world, The Canadian Woman. So, oh, that's what I'm going to play next. I forgot. So, but imagine that. How does just a normal guy, a heating and air guy with a day job, suddenly has this collaboration, this partner, and she's actually a friend. And I'm actually on the board of directors of her church in Ashland. That's how bizarre this world can be if you just aren't afraid to just take baby steps and just say yes, not even knowing if you can do it, you know. Anyway, okay, so yeah. I mean, everything I've done, it was out of just not knowing that I shouldn't do it. In heating and air, in music, whatever, of just taking little steps and, oh, look where I am. Okay, so Canadian Woman. Can I have a drink of the sponsored stuff here? And I wrote this in response, like an answer song to American Woman, which is by a Canadian band saying American Woman, symbolic for America, get away from me. Well, my song is Canadian Woman, I love you and I want to go to your country. So it's like an opposite answer song. And, okay, here we go. Oh, and I'm going to vocalize the opening riff, which is a guitar riff, which is a take on the American Woman intro riff. So, and it's going to go kind of out of key down here, but it's a weird harmony. So just, it's okay, it's a weird harmony. La, 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 la. Oh, Toronto, Vancouver or Montreal, I love your sleet and snow and hail. Would you take an American refugee? I'll eat poutine and beaver tails. Let's drink a Molson and skate a frozen lake. I'll learn to love your game of hockey. Even if my arm happens to break, the cost to fix it will be free. Canadian Woman, I really want to score a goal with you. Canadian Woman, it's your sesquicentennial. Let me have a brew with you. Well, she's a beauty with a maple syrup smile. I want to pour you on my short stack. Let's do a log roll and maybe ride a moose from Alberta to Halifax. Canadian Woman, I really want to score a goal with you. Canadian Woman, it's your sesquicentennial. Let me have a brew with you. Gordon Lightfoot, Andy Kim, Terry Jacks, and Marie Joni Mitchell. Well, don't forget Neil Young. Should we include Justin Bieber? Nah. Canadian woman, may God keep you glorious and free. For me, on your postal codes. What's that all about? K2J 3R4? Sorry, that's just whack. But I'll grow a beard and wear a purple toque. I know you love the lumberjacks. Canadian woman, me and you and Trudeau in a canoe. Canadian woman, it's your sesquicentennial. Let me have a brew with you. April wine, Bachman Turner Overdrive, Bare Naked Ladies, Chilliwack, Cowboy Junkies, Crash Test Dummies, 5-man electrical band, The Guess Who, Ian and Sylvia, Iron Horse, Jeff Healey, Loverboy, Mahogany Rush, Nickelback, Men Without Hats, The Nylons, The Tragically Hip, Trooper, Brian Adams, Paul Anka. Wow. Took me 6 months to memorize all those bands. Okay, now we come to the Lucky Doug and the Stink Bug. Now we come to the Lucky Doug.
Go ahead, spit it out.
Now we come to the Lucky Doug and the Stink Bug story. So after the Naked in Public album had been out for a couple of years, Sylvia called me and said she'd gotten feedback from parents that kids love the Naked in Public album because it's quirky and fun. It's okay. It's not, adult themed. She said, let's do a focused, concentrated children's album, but make it weird and wonderful, like if Frank Zappa and Weird Al Yankovic and the Talking Heads did a children's album. And so we did. And we started recording. And again, magical experiences in her literally world-class recording studio where the enormous Neve console she actually bought from the studio that recorded Led Zeppelin's Sound Remains the Same. So I have recorded through the same music the board that Led Zeppelin recorded through. No kidding. And that wasn't meant to impress you, but go ahead. I actually wasn't going to say that. It just came out. But and we got to go to the Grammy Awards because we finished the children's album, and Sylvia is on the Grammy committee, or one of the voting members, and she submitted it, and it made it on the ballot. And it got, the ballots go out to all the voting members, and then we didn't get nominated, but we got to go. Suzanne and I went to the 2015 Grammys. Okay. Oh, and so while we were recording, we had about 12 songs, and Sylvia kept writing song titles and ideas all day on Post-it notes, and she'd give them to me at the end of the day and say, keep working, because even though we have a batch of 12 songs, you never know, maybe one of your newest ones will kick one of the others out and it'll be better. And so every night I would go through, and one night I saw there was one that said, "My brother is a baby." And I immediately got an idea to do like a mock heavy metal about a kid who didn't like that his brother was a baby. Not like the sweet other way it could have gone. So my brother is a baby. He sucks his thumb. He pees in his pants. He can't chew gum. Mommy says to swallow it. Don't do that. My brother is a baby.
I'd rather have a cat.
My brother is a baby. He's 2 feet tall. He's so dumb. He plays with dolls. And when it's time to eat, he always wants more. He takes half his food and throws it on the floor. My brother is a baby. The ladies think he's cute. He gets the attention. I gotta chop his fruit. Now one day mommy screamed.
I ran up in a flash.
See your brother's bottom? He got a diaper rash. Cuckoo caca pee pee caca pee. Cuckoo caca pee pee caca poo. Cuckoo caca pee pee caca pee. Cuckoo caca pee pee caca poo. Poo. My brother is a baby. It's really not that bad. He's kind of cute and cuddly. And mostly I am glad. But then I do remember the day he finger painted. He used his poop on every wall. And that's when mommy fainted. Thank you. So, how much time do we have? What do you think? I have 14 more songs. No, I have maybe 10 more minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Okay, here's a fun one. Again, as I said, I write a lot of lyrics come to me in my car. And one day in Ashland, Oregon, at the YMCA, I was working out, and they had those cute little pretend pencils and the cute little slips of paper, like I guess if you suddenly go, 12 reps and 150 pounds, and you have to run over. But I use it to write music ideas on. I get a song idea, and I run over to the little pencil and write the note, and there you go. So I wouldn't forget it. So one day I was working out, and I had this concept of all these hard rock bands, and especially the newer bands, where they're like rah 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 rah. It's just this noise. Like, gosh, do you guys ever get tired? You know, wouldn't you like a day off sometime where you don't have to play so hard? So I went out in my car, and it just flew halfway through, and then stopped. The flow stopped about halfway through. So I said, okay. I drove home, and I went back in my room and tried to get the flow going. It wouldn't flow, so I drove back to the YMCA, parked in the same spot, and it finished it in 20 minutes. And this is called We're a Hard Rock Trio. Oh. We're a hard rock trio, just a bass and a drum and a guitar in your face. Oh, that shouldn't be on. We're a hard rock trio, but we don't feel like rocking hard today. We're on strike. We won't play. No hard rock. We simply will not play hard rock today. taking a stroll on a Sunday afternoon. We're a hard rock trio, rowing a boat in the light of a silvery moon. We're on strike, we won't play no hard rock. We simply will not play hard rock today. Give us lots of money, enormous piles of cash. It won't make any difference. We will not bash or crash. Promise me a Ferrari, a Lamborghini or a Ducati. It won't help, I say. We simply will not play hard rock today. We're a hard rock trio, just a bass and a drum and a guitar in your face. We're a hard rock trio, but we don't feel like a rockin' hard today. We're on strike, we won't play no hard rock. We simply will not play hard rock today. Okay, now we come to another story, the Meeting Suzanne story. So in 2014, saying yes instead of no, but listen to this. This is where it didn't work quite so well. These are when you have a plan, you get a plan that you want to do something, you go through the steps of coming up against confrontation and obstacles, and you can't. Then you work a little harder and you go, maybe I can. And then you come to, I can. But you're still like miles away from doing it when you say you can. So what? Everyone can say they can. But then you get to the point where you can honestly say, I will. Still aren't there yet. You have to say, I am doing this. But not until you can say, I do, that I do, that I am doing. So we have can't, maybe, can, will, and am, really. So in 2014, I had sold my heating and air business, and I had to stay on as an employee on a 5-year buyout. And I had a service call at a bed and breakfast during Ashland's Film Festival week when Suzanne was there showing her Uranium Drive-In film. And she was staying at the bed and breakfast. So I fixed the furnace, and I was walking down the stairs, and she was walking up to the front door, and right there, and like, wow, who's that wonderful person? So we talked for about 10 minutes, but I was in a real comfortable place, finally, reading all the books, doing the work. Everyone said you have to be comfortable being alone. I had been divorced and went through all the crazy years of Seinfeld and Friends, bizarre relationship stuff, and was a year fully clean and alone. And I was super busy. I was not wasting energy on eye candy or any of that. So when I met her, I wasn't my normal self, where I would have been desperate to get her any contact information. But I just thought, well, this is wonderful. And I didn't even think that I wouldn't see her again. That didn't enter my mind. It was just a wonderful interaction. The next day, I'm driving my van through town, come up to a crosswalk, and she steps right into the crosswalk as I'm driving. I know some of you heard the story, but this is in case I'm at some university or a convention for plumbers or something and they don't know, so I have to practice. So literally I had to hit the brakes quickly, and because she was right there, we had a few sentences, grammatically correct sentences of exchange, and then again, I didn't think whether or not I would see her again. It was just wonderful. The next day, a Sunday morning, I had an appointment to meet a friend for brunch at a restaurant in town town was very, very busy. There was nowhere to park my car. And so I drove way at the top of the famous Lithia Park, parked my car, a place where I've never parked in 16 years of living in that town. Walked down, the restaurant was way too busy. My friend and I walked across town to another restaurant. After brunch, I walked back to my car, and again in a completely different direction that I've never walked in 16 years. And with all the people in the park doing park things that they do in the parks. and again, I was in a mode of conserving my energy to focus on my business and my music. And I wanted to get home, and I didn't want to waste any time. And there was as I walked through the people weaving, there was a woman lying face down with her top undone and sunbathing. And I literally said to myself, don't look at that. And I turned my head, and I took a step, and there's Suzanne reading a book, sitting in a chair reading a book. Really, it happened like that. So anyway, there began a long-distance relationship. We discussed, after 2 years, it came to the point where what now? And so we discussed her moving to Ashland, and we tried it, but it really wasn't going to work. We discussed me moving to Telluride, and I thought that wasn't going to work, and I actually used the word can't. And when I talked to, and my mom and stepdad and sister had moved to Ashland to be near me just a year before. And so I felt that those ties, and I had my business connection. And when I talked to all my friends, they wanting to be, a good friend, they say, well, no, you can't. Just, you had a good time with her. I'm sure it'll be a nice chapter in your life. Now just move on. Just let her go. And, you can't do that. And I just couldn't quite accept that. And so I called my dad, who lived about 6 hours south, and said, all four of my parents, my steps and my real parents, are in their 80s. And I said, what are you expecting of me as you age? And he said, why are you saying anything? Why would you even say something like that? And I explained to him, and he interrupted me and says, you need to go. You need to just go live your life. Why? You could sit there in Ashland for 10 years and have nothing happen. And you would have missed being with Suzanne. And if you go to Telluride, you're a 2-hour plane ride home. What is it that you can't be away from for more than a week or whatever? And so I went to the guy that owns the heating business that bought me, and he said, you need to go. You need to go. And my mom and stepdad and sister, who had met Suzanne, kind of came around and says, we're going to be fine. And so I went from can't to maybe to can to I will. And I went through all those stages. Maybe I can do this. I can do this. I will do this. And then I called her and said, I am moving to Telluride. But what's interesting is when I first contemplated all this, everything was a roadblock. Every step of the way was a roadblock. People saying, no, you can't do that. But when I changed my mind that it's something that could happen, all those same roadblocks just opened wide open. And people were like joyful. The same people that told me that I couldn't, you can't do that. They were like, whoa, this is wonderful. I'm so happy. And it's like all I had to do was change my mind. So we've heard that over the years, like the people that put on those big seminars where it's like $500 a seat. I'll be expecting a little something here, folks. Don't they say it's all in your mind? So what? Okay, I want a gold-plated Cadillac. Doesn't always work. Okay, so on that note, a very fun song to end the evening, unless they demand one more song, is the 5-Day Weekend. And I have to acknowledge that Mark Altamari, on the Hard Rock Trio song, he actually gave me a chord change, so he's co-writer of that song. And he and I have played this song 5-Day Weekend. So I've always had the sense, for years and years, the sense that our worlds, societies, and economies why are they based on working 80% of our lives and having 20% of our lives off? Why wasn't the very first work week 2 days with 5 days off? And I'm kind of being funny, but I'm kind of not. Like, how did that happen? And it's so stupid. And like, why can't we just have a standard of living based on 2 days worth of wages and having 5 days off? I mean, now we can't just suddenly do that, but anyway, this is my song for what I hope for the world. Okay. There we go. I'll do that every time. Okay. I'd really like to have another day. La la la. It doesn't matter if there is no pay. La la la. Now I've adored you since the earth was flat. La la la. Now won't you join me on my yoga mat? La la la. I know what. Let's work less. Let's play more. I say yes. Let's make a plan for a 5-day weekend. I know we can. A 5-day weekend. Get out and vote for a 5-day weekend. A 5-day weekend. Your 19th midlife crisis came and went. La la la. $16,000 is all you spent. La la la. Now can you poke a stick with a sharp eye? La la la. And grow alfalfa while the sun is high. La la la. I know what. Let's work less. Let's play more. I say yes. Let's make a plan for a 5-day weekend. I know we can. A 5-day weekend. Get out and vote for a 5-day weekend. A 5-day weekend. To the bridge. Let's all pluck a lion from a thorn. La la la. What song was number 1 when you were born? La la la. Now can you teach me how to water ski? La la la. And grow tomatoes hydroponically. La la la. I got a job so I could buy a car. So I could get to work to pay it off. I know what. Let's work less. Let's play more. I say yes. Let's make a plan for a 5-day weekend. I know we can. A 5-day weekend. Get out and vote for a 5-day weekend. A 5-day weekend. All right, thank you very much. Oh, did someone say encore? I actually have documented 278 as of today, these wonderful jokes that I've been saying tonight. So I had to pick only about 30 of them. How is that possible? How is that possible? But anyway, I don't have any more jokes for you. I just have one more song. But just think of the pressure. And I have 81 songs written. I have 31 professionally recorded and out in the world, out and about wherever records are sold. And okay, so this is called Fallen in Light. This is from the Lucky Doug and the Stink Bugs album, available on Spotify. It's actually on Pandora, but they only play 3 songs of the 14 songs, and I'm very upset about it. But, so this is, there's actually a real cool story that I didn't even think. Okay, before I wrote it, of course, I had an 8-hour layover in Los Angeles at the airport. And so at one point, I went to a cafeteria, I got a sandwich and a glass of wine, and I sat there, and there was a woman across the way who was extreme multitasking, and she had her cell phone like this to her ear. She had a laptop. She was texting with a phone and doing a laptop and talking constantly. And over the course of the 1 hour, I wrote all these words kind of about her. I fabricated the story, but I didn't have a tune. But when I got back home, then living in Ashland, I pulled up all my old tape recorder, my music ideas, and I found a piece of music, and they married each other. Okay, so this is called, and this is for all of you, because I have fallen in like with you. Thank you all for coming tonight. Okay, so here's the intro was played on a banjo by Jacob Ackerman, who had never played a banjo. And Sylvia, the producer, said, I hear a banjo. And he goes, I've never played one. And he couldn't play it because they're tuned weirdly. So she said, tune it like a guitar. So he went like, and he played the banjo on this song like a guitar. So I'm going to try to simulate the intro. Okay, it goes. That's all you get. That's a little intro for you. Now the song starts, but the words don't start yet. You look like a comic book, Amazon, 8 feet tall, and wings like Tinkerbell, big wide teeth, and calves of steel, a cape and boots, and a bulletproof shield. And I have fallen, folly-olly-ollin' in like with you. And your x-ray vision, leaping tall buildings in a single boundy-oundy-ound. I could not help but notice how big your eyeballs are. Wow! I can see the world in there. And your other facial features, well, they're very cartoonish. I mean that in the nicest way. I hope I don't sound foolish, 'cause I have fallen, folly-olly-ollin' in like with you. And your x-ray vision, leaping tall buildings in a single boundy-oundy-ound. I have fallen, folly-olly-ollin' in like with you. And your x-ray vision, leaping tall buildings in a single boundy-oundy-ound. One of those famous bridges again. I love the way you hold your phone with your shoulder and eat and talk and surf the net. Makes you seem much older. I'd ask you on a date, but I'm not sure what we would do. I can't fly, I can't swim, I can barely tie my shoes. But I have fallen, folly-olly-olling in like with you. And your X-ray vision, leaping tall buildings in a single boundy-oundy-ound. I have fallen, folly-olly-olling in like with you. And your X-ray vision, leaping tall buildings in a single boundy-oundy. Everyone, I have fallen, folly-olly-olling in like with you. And your X-ray vision, leaping tall buildings in a single boundy-oundy-ound. I have fallen, folly-olly-olling in like with you. And your X-ray vision, leaping tall buildings in a single boundy-oundy-ound. Okay! Thank you very much.